Welcome back to Comicstorian Classic. Today we're going to be covering Wolverine 2022, I believe, issues 37, 38, 39, and 40. This is taking place during the Fall of X. So during this period, Wolverine is being hunted with the rest of the mutants. And there's really no rhyme or reason to what he's doing in these 4 issues. I'm literally calling this video, Wolverine Does Some Epic Stuff. I hope you guys enjoy. Wolverine is being hunted again, but not just him this time. All mutants are once again hunted. Orcus leads the charge, now armed with advanced technology and Stark Sentinels. Over in Washington, D.C., Jeff Bannister walks out of a coffee shop with 2 cups and a newspaper. He crosses the street into the park, putting the paper and coffee and a folder on the seat next to him. Got one, still working on the others, he says as he stands and begins to walk away. Wolverine steps out of the bushes. Thanks, bub. I need all the help I can get, Wolverine tells him. A little while later, Logan arrives at the Howlett estate in Canada. He's hunting himself, or at least some of the berserker clones that Beast created of him. They have all of his rage, but they're mentally undeveloped. Logan gets off his bike walking through the estate grounds, finding carcasses and bones littering the ground. He looks down and studies the remains, shocked to find teeth marks in the bones. His eyes widen as he realizes that his clone has now eaten human flesh. Logan stands quickly, popping his claws as the monster roars out of the forest nearby. The clone has been cursed and transformed into a Wendigo, but one with an adamantium skeleton and claws. It slashes at Logan, but he ducks under the attack, slashing it across both legs as he dashes for the house. The monster roars in pain behind him as Logan is pushing through the front door, memories of his childhood flashing before his eyes as he begins to make his way inside. But the Wendigo is fast, grabbing him by the leg and pulling him back outside. It lifts him into the air, tearing him apart. But the monster turns at the sound of another roar, and out of the forest comes the green giant known as the Hulk. He slams into the Wendigo, throwing it aside. Later, Logan's eyes snap open as he looks down at his stomach, discovering that he has been stitched back together and healed. Easy. I got you back together, but I can't imagine the glue dry, Bruce says in the nearby campfire. What are you doing here, Bruce? Logan growls, and Banner just smiles. You're welcome, he says as he hands Logan a bottle of whiskey. Logan glances over at the dead body of the Wendigo nearby, with Bruce explaining that the Hulk has been hunting monsters. Logan glances at him as he takes another drink. We can't let our monsters get the best of us. That's why I'm here, and this Wendigo Wolverine's just the beginning. So later, the 2 men arrive in Japan. The 2 have tracked another of the clones to the dead forest. They walk into the creepy wood, the air turning dank around them, and the sound carries weirdly, as if the forest is whispering secrets. Darts suddenly come flying out of the shadows, hitting Banner in the neck and Logan in the chest several times, knocking them both to the ground. From the woods steps white cloth figures in masks. When Banner and Logan finally come to, they're kneeling before an altar, a priest standing before them, preaching to his congregation. Banner, wake up! Logan hisses to Banner next to him as he nudges him, the priest holding the dagger in his hand. You've joined the ghost sect because you believe in life after life, he says to those gathered. Your faith delivered wonders. That promise of immortality was gifted to me. I found him in one of our traps, run through with a spike that would have killed any mortal man. He healed before my eyes, the priest says, pulling the hood off of another follower, revealing another clone of Wolverine. The priest slides the knife across the clone's throat, bathing the congregation in his mutant blood. The priest then kneels down, drinking the blood, telling his followers that blood gives them life. Life after life is mine, the priest says with religious fervor. He turns to those gathered and begins to plunge the bloody knife into their chest, telling them to have faith and they will be rewarded. Logan glares at them as he pops his claws, slashing through the ropes that hold him. Any of you freaks try to stick me and I promise they'll come quick, he growls, and he begins to stand with the clone roaring, charging at him. The priest rushes forward, stabbing the dagger into Banner's back, causing his eyes to go green. And as he begins to transform, the zealots all rush him and pile onto him, driving their daggers downward. But it is the Hulk that finally stands, throwing the zealots clear and beginning to smash them. Meanwhile, the clone is still driving Logan into the dirt. Help is good, blood is good, the clone repeats. What is wrong with you? Logan snaps at it, the clone turning at the Hulk's rampage and rushing to the priest's side. Wolverine help! Wolverine good! He shouts as he tries to give the dead priest more of his blood, but the Hulk is there, slamming into them both, finally killing the clone. Logan finally gets to his feet, realizing that the clone was just trying to help in its own misguided way. But later, at Madripoor, Logan and Banner walk into the Black Tiger Casino, where they've gotten word that one of the clones is using the Patch persona to rise to the top of Madripoor's crime scene and take control of the casino. Now Logan is hiding behind his Patch persona as they both enter the casino, walking over to the blackjack table and beginning to play. But it doesn't take long for someone to notice. Luckily, Banner and Logan have planned for this, as the security guards begin to head towards Logan's table, and Bruce slips into the back. "Wish me luck. I'm headed in," Bruce says over the comms. The guards come to Logan's table and put a hand on his shoulder, asking that he comes with them. Meanwhile, Bruce manages to grab a security card and find a locked room. The door slides open to reveal a hedonistic party. "Oh, I'm sorry, I must be in the wrong place," Bruce says as he begins to back away from the gaggle of half-naked people. But he suddenly finds a sword in his throat. "Depends on what you're here for, lovely," the sword wielder says. The guards lead Logan into a massive office, opening up the doors. "Now let's get you back to where you belong," one of the guards says, but they're all surprised to find the clone still standing on a nearby desk. "What the hell is going on?" the guard hisses as he reaches for his gun. Logan pops his claws and whirls on them, bringing the guards down in seconds, but a voice calls from the doorway. "Let's all calm down now, shall we?" Solemn says, pushing the blade of his sword against Banner's throat. Logan just glares at him, daring him to cut the man. "No, let's not cut him," Bruce says, knowing that he's been losing control to the Hulk lately. "Come on, Banner, we can end this now." Solemn smiles at the mention of the name. "Did you say Banner? Oh, this is going to be fun." Later, Logan and Solemn stand in the Warrior's office looking down on the arena where the clone and Banner are preparing to fight. Logan glances at his one-time enemy. "I have bigger problems to deal with than you. Let me kill him and I'll leave," Logan says, but Solemn shakes his head, explaining that the image of Patch and his reputation have been allowing Solemn to take control of Madripoor's criminal underworld. Below them, the clone pops its claws, rushing at Banner, and Bruce turns, trying to climb out of the arena, shouting for everyone to run. But the clone catches him, driving his claws into the thin scientist's back. Bruce's eyes go green with rage, and the Hulk rears up, tossing the clone aside. "Let me go now! He's going to make gravel of this building, and meat of everyone in his way," Logan says to Solemn. But Solemn finally relents after seeing the Hulk's unchecked rage. "But only because now I get a three-way fight and a fresh betting angle," Solemn admits as he slashes through Logan's bonds. Logan whirls, elbowing the man in the face, and picking up Solemn's sword, he leaps into the arena. The Hulk whirls the clone over his head, throwing him into the bleachers, but Logan is already there, slashing through the clone's head with the Muramasa blade. Logan then whirls, preparing to fight with the Hulk, but the green brute just glares at him. "I didn't ask for this. You're just as bad as Banner. Next time I see you, you'll envy Wendigo's fate." Hulk growls before leaping away, crashing through the arena's roof, and he's gone. With his mission complete, Logan walks out of the casino and into the glowing streetlights of Madripoor. It's there that he finds a boat to sail away, because now he has a new mission. Bring down Orcus and help bring back mutant kind. Over in Manhattan, Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, is shooting a game of pool. But a hand comes down and stops the ball. "How about a game, Cap?" Logan says with a smile when the hero looks up. Steve looks at him in surprise, glancing at the TV where the news is talking about Orcus patrols going through the city looking for mutants. "You got stones, Logan, walking around New York, risking getting caught," Steve says, and instead of a game, the pair take a seat in a booth sharing a drink. Logan reminds Steve that Orcus is just like the Gestapo all over again. Rounding up the undesirables, killing them and exiling them. That's their deal, and you and I know the ugly history lesson of that all too well. Logan reminds him as he takes a long drink of his beer. Steve adds and admits that he's no fan of the organization. "Good, because I've got a job that needs doing, a job against Orcus, a job about history," Logan tells him. Steve nods, telling him that he's in. Later, the pair sneak aboard the Orcus freighter, where the organization is shipping several pieces that were captured from the ruins of Krakoa. But as the pair of heroes stealthily slip aboard, they are shocked to find the entire crew and all the guards have already been killed. "You're not the only one after Orcus, it looks like," Cap says, as he surveys the scene. He reaches down, picking up a spent revolver charge. Revolver seems to be a pretty unusual choice of a weapon for taking out heavily armed security forces. The two then head back out onto the deck to discover all of the shipping containers are also empty. "Our heist also got heisted," Cap points out. When suddenly gunfire erupts around them. A round rips into Logan's shoulder before he can turn and get behind Cap's shield. Steve whirls, tossing the shield, allowing it to hit the final Orcus soldier in the back, bringing him down. Logan rushes forward, slashing through the soldier's weapon with his claws. He then rears back, preparing to deliver the killing blow, but Cap stops him. "Don't! He's already in a bad way," Cap says, pointing to the gunshot wound in the soldier's stomach. Cap then leans down, asking if the soldier saw who did this. But before he dies, the man whispers one word. "Cowboys," he gasps. Cap looks at Logan, who grits his teeth, nodding. "Pretty sure I know who did this," Logan hisses. Later, aboard another vessel, a helicopter lands and 2 rich passengers get off. The guards, members of the Legacy House, watch them head below deck before they're suddenly pulled over the side. Moments later, now dressed as cowboys, Logan and Steve head below deck to find a lavish party being thrown by the criminal auction house. Logan keeps tugging at the sleeves of his jacket. "Clothes won't fit." And Steve nods as he keeps his head on a swivel. "That's because not everyone is shaped like a box," he whispers back. On the stage below, the head of the Legacy House steps up to the mic, declaring that the auction of some of Krakoa's finest goods will begin shortly. "The mutants are no longer with us, but their legend lives on. Maybe you admired them, maybe you hated them, maybe you have no interest in picking sides and you just want yourself a fine collector's costume or a powerful weapon to add to your arsenal," he says with gusto. On the balcony, Steve and Logan are stopped by another guard. "Hey, what are you doing back here? All auction items need to be backstage," the guard says, pointing at the shield that Cap is carrying around for some reason when he's under stealth. The guard leads them into the back, pointing out that he didn't know Captain America was a mutant. "Me neither, but who can keep track of all that stuff?" Steve says with a smile. In the back, the pair are surprised by the sheer number of things that the Legacy House has captured. Logan steps into the room, his eyes falling on his lost Miramasa blade. "Hey Cap, stop the auction," Logan says before whirling and elbowing a guard in the face. He then turns back, grabbing a hold of the blade. "I'll take care of the rest." Steve rushes onto the stage, his shield whirling through the air, knocking out the guards as they rush him. But Logan has a more direct approach. He begins to slash through the deck of the ship, going lower and lower until he strikes seawater. It doesn't take long for the entire ship to begin to sink. Later, Nick Fury meets the 2 heroes in the Catskills, with Steve thanking the Spy Master for securing the Krakoa items. Steve watches as the items are tucked into Fury's secret vault. "Leave it be. It's not our legacy," Captain America reminds his friend, and Fury nods. "I get it. I'm glad you called. Keeping this out of the wrong hands is top priority. But do you really think the mutants are coming back?" Fury asks, and Steve pats him on the back, smiling. "The good guys always come back." They both turn as Logan revs his motorcycle, riding off into the night. Wakanda. Junwei, a representative of Orcus, stands before the Prime Minister Fulsalad and tells her that Orcus is willing to pay top dollar for their vibranium reserves, as well as offering Stark Sentinels to help secure Wakanda's borders. The Prime Minister finally interrupts Junwei, telling her that Wakanda will never give Orcus the vibranium, and that Wakanda will never work with the organization. She finally looks to her guards, ordering them to escort Junwei from the building. "These are dangerous times. You should reconsider who you deem an ally and who you deem an enemy." Junwei calls out over her shoulder, but in the audience chamber, someone has been watching the entire exchange, and a plan begins to form in his evil mind. Outside, Kova approaches Junwei and her 2 guards. "Excuse me, Miss Wei. I wanted you to know that the Prime Minister does not speak for all of Wakanda. There are others who might be able to aid you," he says. Later that night, Logan walks through the streets of Burnin T'Chaka, a place within Wakanda that reminds him of Madripoor. It's the seedy underbelly of Wakanda, and Logan walks into a bar and sits for a drink. In the corner, he sees Junwei speaking to Kova quietly. The Wakandan businessman explaining to Junwei that he can offer her a partnership. "Vibranium is off the table. It is too scarce, too heavily policed. But I have a new mine set up," he begins to state. She stands, drawing her pistol in anger. "I came here for the most valuable metal in the world. Do not offer me table scraps," she snaps, but Kova moves quickly, pulling the pistol out of her hand. "You've already pissed off Parliament. Don't turn Burnin T'Chaka against you. We could be good friends," he says with a smile, revealing his metal teeth, putting the gun in his mouth and biting through it, letting the scraps fall to the table. "As you can see, we have metal to share," he tells her, telling her that a meteor has struck the jungle. "I'm not offering you scraps. The site is rich in cobalt, lithium, and titanium. I take it that those factories of yours could use a bit more of these? The pair walk out of the bar and head to Junwei's waiting ship, but a street urchin rushes over to Kovu and informs him of Logan's arrival. Kovu ponders for a moment before whispering to his men to deal with the wayward mutant. 3 goons head back into the city where they find Logan preparing to leave on his motorcycle. He turns at the goons' approach, popping his claws, but they don't hesitate. Their hands begin to glow with powerful energy as they stalk towards Logan. He leaps at them, slashing the first one in the chest, bringing him down, but the second goon punches Logan hard, sending him into a wall. The concrete cracks beneath his skull, and the goons charge forward, hitting Logan again and again. A shadow then leaps out of the nearby rooftops, dropping the goon quickly, and Logan looks up to Black Panther standing over him. "It's all right, Logan," T'Challa says as he helps his friend up. "You look at me like I'm a ghost. I did the same for you, but we're fighting, aren't we?" Black Panther asks. The pair head into the night, pursuing Kovu and Junwei as they ride through the jungles of Wakanda. Logan asks why Black Panther is wearing a new costume. "Sometimes change happens when the eyes of the world are on you, and sometimes change can only happen when you work invisibly," T'Challa tells his friend, and they finally stop with T'Challa informing Logan that they must go on foot. "I planted a tracker on Junwei's ship," he explains, and they move through the jungle as T'Challa questions Logan about Aurora. "Do you have any news of Storm?" Logan shakes his head. "I know as much as you do. She's gone, along with the rest of them, and Orcus is to blame." The pair finally arrive at Kovu's strip mining operation, and below them, Junwei stands with Kovu, admiring his setup. She finally agrees to his terms. "But you can guarantee that you won't have any interference from the capital?" she asks, and Kovu smiles. "There is no more Black Panther. There's no oversight. Burnin T'Chaka operates by its own rules," Kovu promises her. She thanks him and tells him that he has found a partner in Orcus. And as she reaches for her tablet to authorize the transfer of money for the sale, a vibranium spear flies out of the shadows, stabbing through her tablet. She whirls around, drawing her pistol. "Go! Find them!" Kovu shouts to his guards, powering up his own hands with the same vibranium tech that the goons use. "You've got enemies I should know about?" Junwei snaps at him, and vibranium darts begin to fly, taking out both Kovu and Junwei's guards. As the guards begin to make their way through the mining equipment, T'Challa slips among them, taking them out one by one. Junwei and her remaining guard turn towards the sound of the fighting, but the guard suddenly stiffens up, falling to the ground. Logan steps out of the shadows, his claws bathed in the guard's blood. "Heard you were in the market for some metal," he growls at Junwei. Meanwhile, Kovu rushes to the aid of his guards, shocked to find the Black Panther standing amongst his fallen men. "Who are you?" Kovu snaps. "As it turns out, there's some oversight in Burnin T'Chaka after all," T'Challa snaps. Kovu rushes at him as T'Challa orders him to stand down peacefully, but Kovu refuses, attacking T'Challa, forcing the Black Panther to flip him through the air, crushing him with the rocks from the nearby truck. Meanwhile, Junwei draws her pistol, firing on Wolverine. She rushes at him, trying to kick him, but her ankle snaps as it comes into contact with his bones. She falls to the ground, screaming in pain as Logan stands over her. "I had a home that Orcus took. I had friends that Orcus took." Logan growls as he leans down with his claws, but T'Challa's hand stops him. "Killing her won't bring back the past, Logan. You can't bring peace with murder," the Black Panther tells him, and Logan growls, pushing the hand away. But he doesn't kill Junwei. Later, T'Challa asks Logan what his next plan is. "Same thing you're doing. Fight quiet. For now." Logan tells him, looking up at the Orcus ship that still sits on the strip mine. "Gonna start by hot-wiring that ride. See what I can steal from its data drive." T'Challa nods as he turns away from his friend. "I'll go slow until it's time to go real fast." Now we go to New York City. Peter Parker walks out of Oscorp, and he walks up to a nearby hot dog stand, ordering his dinner, but someone reaches out, taking the hot dog before Peter can. Peter turns in shock as Logan walks away, stuffing the hot dog into his mouth. "Let's walk and talk, Parker." Logan grunts. Peter hesitates for a moment before following his friend, who leads him down into a subway. "I have so many questions. You're alive? It's probably a good place to start," Peter says, and Logan nods, asking Peter if he's good with computers and programming. Is this like the old man asking his grandchildren how the internet works? Did you get logged out of your AOL account or something? Peter jokes, and he follows Logan deeper into the subway until they find an Orcus jet that Logan left there. "Wait, is that an Orcus jet?" Peter asks after pausing for a moment, and Logan nods. "That's an Orcus jet." You know what, Logan? I'm super busy right now, and the last thing I need is more villains in my rogues gallery. Peter tells Wolverine, but Logan stops him smiling, gesturing to the ship. Good thing you packed a change of clothes, he says, pulling the Spidey costume out of Pete's bag. This one might be an overnighter. Now clad in their costumes, the two heroes fly the Orcish jet over the city while Logan explains the plan. The Orcish agent that I stole this from is expecting it back in less than an hour. Before they know any better, we're going to sneak aboard their ship. Logan tells Spidey, and Peter is shocked at this plan, but Logan explains that the mutants are on the brink, and he needs to start thinking with more than his claws. That's where the big brain of Spider-Man comes in, Logan says as he points to Spider-Man's head, explaining that once they get inside, he needs Peter to break through the firewall and get as much data as they can before they're discovered. Oh, and then we're going to blow up their station, Logan adds at the end, and Peter looks at him in shock. We're not blowing anyone up! As for the rest of your plan, what, how, and when? Peter asks, but Peter's eyes go wide when he looks at the windshield to see an Orcish orbital platform coming up. Now, Parker. Logan growls. They float before the docking bay doors, and Logan hands Peter the security codes that should get them inside. Is this actually going to work? This isn't actually going to work. Peter whispers as he types in the codes, and after a brief pause, both the doors suddenly slide open and Logan looks at his friend with a smile. You see, this is going to be a piece of, he begins to state, but the doors then fly fully open to reveal two Sentinels and two Orcish fighters. We've been looking for you, Wolverine, the Orcish agent says over the comms as the fighter ships glide forward. Logan turns their ship around and puts full power into the engines, leaping into a series of turns and dives to avoid the laser blasts. The ship rocks as a blast hits them and the hull begins to crack. Peter gets to his feet, firing off webbing, trying to keep everything together. I've sealed it for now, but it's negative 450 out there. My webbing's not going to last long. Logan grits his teeth as more blasts begin to shoot past them. This mission's a loss. Stupid of me getting you into this. But Peter turns, putting a hand on his shoulder before pulling off his own mask. Hey, Logan, we both might be out of our element, but I'm kind of known for fighting my way out of sticky situations. With his Oscorp suit, which is airtight, Peter climbs out onto the outside of the ship, leaping over to the other Orcish fighter. He climbs along it until he reaches the cockpit. Oh look, it's a Wolverine that doesn't smell like groin, he jokes before breaking inside. Meanwhile, Logan can't dodge any more blasts. He steers the ship straight at the incoming Sentinel, managing to leap free of the ship just as it impacts and explodes. He begins to float through the vastness of space, and he can feel his insides freezing up in the vacuum, knowing that if he gets hit by another blast, he'll break into 1,000 tiny pieces and be lost forever. But another blast takes out the Orcish fighter. The ship that Spidey stole floats up to Logan. I'm still not over you eating my hot dog. I'm feeling pretty hangry. Hangry enough to leave you out there for just a few more minutes. Spidey jokes as he begins to pull Logan into the new ship. But the second Sentinel is already on their tail, peppering the fighter with energy blasts that are forcing Spider-Man to point the ship back towards Earth. As they break through the atmosphere, Spidey hits the button that will autopilot the ship around the Earth, giving Orcish something to chase other than them. He gets out of his seat and lifts the still-dazed Logan off the floor. Huh, buddy, maybe lay off the adamantium. Spidey jokes before leaping out of the ship. They both plummet towards the city far below. Ah, New York, how I missed your gang warfare, pizza rats, and hot subway farts blasted through subway grates. Spidey jokes as they continue their plummet into orbit. They fall faster and faster, but Spider-Man shoots out a web, swinging them up onto a nearby gargoyle. You see? This is what I'm good at, swinging. And you know what you're good at? Slashing and hacking. Not flying spaceships, Spidey says to the still groggy Logan. He pulls Logan up onto a building, leaning him against a wall. You've clearly lost your way, buddy, but I've got you. But Spider-Man's Spidey sense then begins to go haywire as the Sentinel and Sentinel Zero float down behind him. Logan finally comes to, leaping to his feet, popping his claws as he throws himself at the mutant hunting robots. What was it you said I'm good at? He snarls, colliding with Sentinel Zero, and the two go claw to claw. The massive Stark Sentinel prepares to fire a blast at them, but Spidey webs its arm, forcing it to fire into its own face, bringing it down. Before it can smash into the streets below, though, he swings down, firing enough webs to stomp it. Logan and Sentinel Zero slam into the street, with several bystanders picking up their phones and snapping photos. Logan isn't there long, though, as Spider-Man fires a web and pulls him back up to the rooftops. Hey, Logan, forgot to mention, I didn't download much from the Orcish mainframe, but I did get something. I'll share everything I've got and see if it helps your friends. Spider-Man tells him. Meanwhile, at their secret base, the X-Men, with Sage, have been scouring the internet and finally they smile. Hey, Tom, you know how we've been feeling lost, trying to figure out how we're going to win this war? She calls Black Tom over and points at images of Wolverine. My web trawling algorithms finally picked up several visuals of Logan in New York. He's alive? Black Tom gasps, and she nods her head. Let's go get ourselves Wolverine. And there you have it, Wolverine's continuation in the Fall of X series. Now, this goes into the Saber-Tooth War, which we will be covering very soon, so make sure you like and subscribe.